Hello and welcome to a spur of the moment movie vlog where I'll be watching and talking about a film that I haven't seen since it first came out in 2015. Although I think I saw this in 2016 because in the UK it came out like right at the end of December. One of those films where it kind of crossed over to the next year, so it was a 2016 release for the UK. I believe, I'm not too sure. Anyway, it is of course, as you've probably no doubt seen in the title of the video, Creed, which I'll go into it later on, but I was always kind of skeptical about this one. I thought that they tied it up kind of perfectly with Rocky Balboa. So the new one is coming out, Creed 2. It's not coming out, it's already out. And me and Connie are going to see it tomorrow, so I'm kind of cramming in at the last minute a reviewing of this, to just kind of brush myself up on the story a little bit, which I'm glad I did because I completely forgot that Michael B. Jordan's character, Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo Creed, isn't also the son of Apollo's wife from the Rocky movies. So it's kind of, I was going to say the seeds were planted, but not really. It's just outright suggested that, of course, Creed was straying away from home. So Adonis hasn't had really the best upbringing, but we open the film in 1990s Los Angeles, which it seems the director Ryan Coogler is quite fond of doing with his big movies, opening them with a flashback to 90s LA, and we find a young Adonis Creed in kind of like a kid's home, getting into trouble, getting into fights, and then he gets taken out by his father's wife, but not his mother. And I'm just at the point now in the film, about 20 minutes in, when he goes to Philadelphia and tries to get Rocky to train him. So it's really cool. As soon as Sylvester Stallone gets into the film, that's when it gets really enjoyable for me. But one thing I'll say that I really don't like about this film, I loved it when it came out, and I completely forgot about this little detail, is when we see Adonis at a training gym, and this is kind of like the Apollo Creed training gym. We see him kind of get into a confrontation. I'll leave that one in for free. With two other boxers at the gym, and when we see those boxers, it freeze frames and gives you like a rundown, like tail of the tape, who this person is, their career knockouts. Awful, just awful. I hate it. I hate that stylistic choice. It feels like a music video to me, or like a documentary, and it just does not fit the filmic tone of what I like a movie like this to be. It just completely draws attention to the fact that this is a movie, that this is, isn't real. I don't know, there's something about it I really rubs me the wrong way, and I've completely forgotten about it. So they did two of those in the space of one scene. I just hope it doesn't happen again, because just tacky. Yeah. But I mean, I love the film. It's just a very minor thing, but it really is just doesn't fit for me. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna continue watching now, and at the end I'll kind of wrap things up. And when I wrap things up, I'll get into it a little bit more and talk about my thoughts on the film and so on. And big fan of the Rocky series, so it's fun revisiting this. I'm looking very much forward to the second one, so on we go with this one. And to kind of get back to a little bit of the original movie vlogs, kind of showing you what I'm eating and stuff, I have some traditional, for me, Christmas food, which is pigs in blankets. So we've got sausages wrapped in bacon, and I have burnt them to a crisp, just like I enjoy having them. So yeah, it reminds me now of Twin Peaks when Cooper says, just black, cremate them. Yeah, that's kind of how I like my pigs in blankets. Got some HP sauce, some blueberry juice. There is the steelbook right there, and I just had a packet of salt and vinegar chipsticks. And this is a really good line in the film, is when Rocky is talking about how he was able to beat Apollo Creed, because he told Adonis that he was the perfect fighter. And Adonis says, well, how did you beat him? He's like, well, time beat him. Time takes everybody out. It's undefeated. Really good line, and delivered perfectly by Stallone, who's just so great in this film. Still kind of salty about the fact he didn't win the Oscar, but it is what it is. So let's crack on with the film, and yeah, see you in the simple cutting of one clip to the next. Mickey's old gym. So I guess someone must be running it now, someone new. I wonder what's gonna happen here, man. I mean, Adonis said he's gonna be here. He told Rocky maybe Rocky's gonna show up. maybe he isn't, you know. Who trains here now? This is going to be really interesting. Could be an interesting development in the film. Oh, the Italian Stallion, yeah. So Rocky hasn't been here in a while. I wonder why. Why hasn't he come back to the gym where he was made? It just doesn't make sense. Oh, yep, we're watching a film. Alright then, yep, okay. Hey everybody, it's a film. Also, I just have to say, another really, another, and I'm being a real pedant here, but there was a moment where Adonis was watching on his laptop HBO Sports documentary, 24/7, building up this world title fight, I'm presuming, and really well done. It feels like the real world. It feels like the way people, you know, make these kind of hype packages and documentaries for upcoming fights and profiling fighters and things like that. And it talks about how this one boxer has been trained by a guy whose father trained, you know, Apollo Creed, the character from the original movies. And when they talk about that in the documentary, we see clips of him training Apollo Creed in the Rocky movies. So I guess now the actual movies, that footage exists in in this world. Like that just, it bugs me. It's a real pathetic gripe. But just the fact that in this movie, the Rocky movies are actual pieces of documents that can be used. Like I don't know, like the actual, there's a clip at the beginning, there's a scene at the beginning of this film where Adonis is sat down, he goes on YouTube and watches the old Rocky versus Apollo fight, which felt really natural to me, like the way it would be if Rocky was real. Those fights would be on YouTube. And he's watching the fight, and that works to me because, you know, the fight would have been filmed. Not so much the training in secret at all, like the training sessions wouldn't be filmed and shot on, I don't know. That stuff is just, I mean, again, these are very teeny gripes, but it's just stuff that kind of makes me go, don't know, I don't think we needed that really. I mean, I get it, you want to illustrate that, you want to show that, but you could do that in another way, I think, but it is what it is. I'm just being an idiot. On with the film. Okay, I'm at the 1 hour mark of the film. Adonis just won his first fight with Rocky as his trainer, and one thing I really like about the film is the humor, the comedy. It's very slight. It isn't forced, and it's used in kind of the right amount of increments. You know, that it's doled out very nicely throughout the film, and I've completely forgotten some of the gags. And this one was great, where, you know, he wins the fight. You know, his new girlfriend now, Bianca, who's played by Tessa Thompson, who is great in Thor Ragnarok. So now that I've seen that, I'm a bit more familiar with her as an actress. So it's fun to kind of see this film again now that I'm more familiar with her and really like her as an actress. So Bianca comes into the ring, she celebrates with Adonis, and, you know, everyone's really excited. Even Rocky's excited about it, and then he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna tear the city up. We're gonna have this, you know, big celebration." And then it just cuts to Adonis just like asleep on the sofa. Rocky kind of like just really nicely done. And there was something else as well. The joke about the cloud was a lot funnier 3 years ago. Now not so much, I suppose. But yeah, I like how the humor is used. And you know, one of my favorite elements of the character of Rocky was that humor that would be used in the films, is kind of just playing off of Rocky's sometimes simple way of looking at things at times. So that would kind of crop up a little bit throughout the Rocky movies, and it's written really true to the character in this one, I think. So yeah, there we go. I'm going to continue watching now. It is getting quite late though, and I don't want to stay up too late tonight, so I'm tired in the morning when the film starts. So Creed 2, that being, but yeah, I want to finish it tonight and be fresh and ready for the second one. But you know, just watching this reminds me of how good of a film this really is. It's down to the performances, the way it feels true to the Rocky movies. It has a slightly different twist to it, and I love these films so much. I have a really personal connection to them. So just watching these films makes me happy. And I just love the Rocky character, especially. You know, Michael B. Jordan's great in everything, but what really makes this tick for me as a viewer, as for my own personal enjoyment, I think of course the movie is about Adonis. You know, it's his movie, and Michael B. Jordan carries that completely. But for my personal love of the Rocky character, that's kind of my in to the story. That's where I really engage with it, is that stuff. But the Adonis stuff on its own works really well too. So that's, you know, it's just kind of double whammy basically, because both work hand in hand together. But my favorite element is the Rocky side of it, and I love seeing him in the film and his part of the story. Because I wasn't sure before this film came out how big of a role he was going to play. It was in all the trailers and the posters. He was going to train Creed, but you didn't quite know how heavy his involvement was going to be. And I don't know how heavy his involvement is going to be in the second film either. I'm really intrigued about that. So anyway, I'm going to continue watching it now. The more I'm yapping on the camera, the later I'm going to stay up. So back to the film. Okay, it is very, very late, and so I don't feel like I have much time to talk about the film. But I mean, what can I say about it that hasn't already been said? I think most people accept that Creed is a pretty damn great film, and man, it just really is. It hits all those beats that we've seen before, but done in a different way with its own shading in certain areas. And I love how it follows its own path, you know, as much as it can. I mean, it very much is a Rocky movie, you know, and you can kind of debate whether they should just call it Rocky, you know, 7 or whatever. But you know, it is Creed's story, and I like that. But I like how it's something for Rocky to hold on to as well. I mean, after Rocky Balboa, which tied everything up so perfectly for me, so I thought, oh, don't touch it. You know, apparently even Stallone said, I worked hard on that last Rocky movie. That's the way I want it to end. But he was coaxed back to do this one. He did it, and it was something more. It's another fight for the character to go through. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. And I love that aspect of it. That scene when Rocky is in the doctor's office and she tells him, the way he reacts just brings tears to my eyes. You know, I think Stallone delivered a fantastic performance here. I think he's such an underrated actor. People kind of get lost in this image of Stallone as this, you know, guns and explosions, 80s action hero. And he very much was that, don't get me wrong, but there is such a sensitive side to this guy, this man, as an actor, that really shows, especially in this series, in the best movies in the series, the first one particularly, quite a bit in the second one, third and fourth one maybe not so much, and then, you know, fifth one there's a little bit there, not enough. Beautiful kind of rounding off with Balboa, and Creed here, maybe even, oh no, I'd say probably his best Rocky performance is still the original, but you know, it feels like that same guy. The little quirks, just the little mannerisms, and you know, the ball that he would throw and catch, like just lots of little things like that. It never felt too pandering. I love that we never saw Adonis running up the steps. You know, it was his own way of doing that kind of scene. There wasn't a typical montage. It was all different. I love how the girlfriend love interest character was her own person with her own dreams and aspirations and things like that. And you know, there's just lots of great moments in the film. The fight at the end is great, and I like there's this moment in the final fight where it's shown pretty clinically as far as, like, you know, HBO sports and very modern in terms of the boxing match. But then there's like this moment where they're looking at each other and all the lights go down, almost like a spotlight over them, and this very cinematic. You know, I like that Ryan Coogler allowed for those kinds of moments here and there. But most of all, it's this touching relationship between Rocky and the son he never really had, in the fact that, you know, he always struggled with his son, which you see in the fifth and the sixth film, particularly, and he's not in this one, Rocky's son. And then there's the whole thing in real life, which is very tragic and stuff, so it must have been very difficult for Stallone. But, you know, he found his kind of his son figure in the same way that Adonis found his father figure in Rocky, a guy who was, you know, very, very close to his father, Apollo. So it is a very touching film, and that's what these films should be. They're about the grit, they're about the determination, they're about the eye of the tiger, but they're also about the human underneath all those layers of macho and I'm gonna fight and win. You know, it's all about the human connection underneath all of that. and this film captures it just like the Rocky films, the best Rocky films did. So as a Rocky fan, I was hugely happy with this. As a movie fan, I was hugely happy with this. I think it is a great film. Again, few minor little things, like I don't like the captions on screen and the showing of the clips from the Rocky movies in World, which, you know, but again, very, very minor nitpicks. You know, the rest is just so stellar, so well done, and again, I think Stallone should have won the Oscar for this. So I'm really excited for Creed 2 tomorrow, and looking forward to seeing it. I'm sure I'll do some sort of video talking about that. It's got a lot to live up to, but if it doesn't even come close to this, that's fine. The fact that we got this, to me, was great as a Rocky fan, and it's very special to me. My grandpa has been passed away for many years now. He loved these movies, and I loved watching these movies with him. And it's cool. I like the ending scene where they walk up the steps. It was and that to me felt like the end, like that they would never touch it again. But obviously they've gone back. So clearly, you know, we're gonna see how Rocky's journey continues a little bit in Creed 2. Surely he must have. There must be something cooking for Rocky in the next film. I feel like if there isn't, and he's just there as a bystander, it's gonna be a shame. But from what I've heard, he does have a substantial role to play. But yeah, and having gone up those steps myself now, it gives it a different flavour, especially considering I've been there before Creed was shot, you know, so it's kind of like, I don't know, there's something about that where, you know, yeah, I can walk up the steps, but it's like the steps in 2014, you know, this isn't what it looked like really, I mean, it looks very similar to the way it did in the first movie. It hasn't changed much, but, you know, you look at that, it's back in the 70s, decades ago, but to go to those steps and go, wow, this is where the Rocky movies were, where Stallone ran up, and then to see Creed, which was shot after I was there, makes it a bit more of a cool, I don't know, there's just a different kind of connection to that, which I kind of like and enjoy. Oh yeah, I remember it looking pretty much exactly like that, like the day they shot it on looks exactly like the day I went there, kind of a grey, kind of overcast. Yeah, anyway, I'm just completely rambling now, but very big fan of Creed. Glad I rewatched it. It's been far too long, and it's just one of those films where I'm never bored. There's never a scene that's like, you know, I want to get, just every single scene rolls through to the next. It's such a tight film, even though it's like the longest Rocky film, I think, of the whole series, like 2 hours and 10 minutes. But anyway, lots more I could ramble on, but I need to get to bed. So that was Creed. Big thumbs up. Thank you for watching.
He's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.